Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Should Have Known Better. I'm Michael Petro, one of your three hosts. So a couple things to go over first. One, who we are sponsored by. We're sponsored by Proper Designworks this week, which is a custom clothing and embroidery manufacturer in Winnipeg, Manitoba. If you are in need of sweaters or hoodies or patches or hats or T-shirts or a long list of other amazing things that you need for promotional items at work, please contact Christopher Goetzman and his team of wonderful, amazing staff down there. They will treat you well. They will do their very best to find out what you're looking for and how they can make it. And they won't stop until they've exhausted all the options. Okay, so you're definitely in for a treat for whatever you need from them. As well, they also do custom clothing. So if you're looking for something that's a little bit more tailored to your liking, to your person specifically, start talking to them about that as well too. So thank you, Chris. Thank you to your staff. They're amazing. Everybody out there, you can check them out online at properdesignworks.com. You can email them at info@properdesignworks if you want to start placing an order. And you can check out all the wares and all the cool ideas and things that are going on right now at the shop on Instagram under Proper Designworks. Second, I do another podcast. I've mentioned it a couple times here before. It's called The Real Debaters. It is a hilarious take on doing a professional debate on some of the silliest conversations that we can come up with that have to do with movies and cinema and film over the last 100 years. So if you're looking for something that's a little more comedic, a little more silly, and you're a film nerd, this might be for you. It's called The Real Debaters. We're on all the major podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google Play Music. Check us out. Give us a review. Tell all your friends. We don't know what you want unless you let us know and do that in the review. Lastly, we've noticed on this podcast, Mark, Jason, and myself, that a story is forming. And to get the whole idea of who we are, because we're getting to know each other a little bit better as we do this, go back to the first episode if this is your first time. Go from the friendship episode and come forward to this. So you get some of the throwbacks and the callbacks we make to previous episodes, because as it goes, we are noticing some of the same stories are coming up, but different aspects of those stories. So if you want to get XYZ version over here and then ABC version over here, do that. I can't tell you what to do, but I just thought we'd let you know that it would help your listening pleasure. This week on the podcast, it's the puberty episode. We were talking oily skin, zits, voice changing and cracking, your body producing copious amounts of body hair, or your balls dropping for that matter. Finally, all of a sudden, you're like, what's this thing between my legs? We dove into the male side of puberty as much as possible, because that's what we know, and we pull from what we know. But we also talk about men and women going through puberty, or boys and girls going through puberty together as well, and a copious amount of other things that were discussed. So I will shut it down and let you tune in to another episode of Should Have Known Better and see if we actually did. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
There we go.
Hey, Mike.
Hi.
Is that like that hello classroom? Hello, Mrs. Fallman.
Mike.
I
Guess what day it is, Mike? Hump day.
In your office, did that video clip just circulate like both of you? Did it just travel?
Every Wednesday it would pop up.
Still don't know what you're talking
It's
about.
still.
Okay, so there was what was the animal? What was he?
It was a big camel.
It was a big camel, and it was an
Hump
office
day.
setting.
This is recent, or
Last year.
Oh, okay.
Last year there was, I don't know what, probably an insurance, like Geico or something.
oh
right?
yeah.
It's Geico, yeah.
It is Geico. Okay, so everybody's like, mumbling around in an office, and then in comes this camel. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
And the camel walks up to an employee named Mike and goes, Mike.
Guess what day? No, how does it go? Mike. Guess what day it is? Hump day.
And then blah, 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 switch to Geico, right?
Mike.
offices around North America must have been like, I know mine was just
Yeah.
inundated with every Wednesday somebody would be like, I'm gonna be the Wednesday hump
Yeah,
guy,
yeah.
right? And I'm like, I'm Mike, it should be me if any of
Yeah,
us
yeah.
are doing this. But
Everyone
anyways.
had those. I think it was groundhogs. Alan.
Yes.
Alan. That broke about 4 months before the second time that I went to Folk Fest.
Yes.
And that was the most brilliant thing ever, because that huge, 10,000 people tenting,
Yep.
someone would start it, and it was like a wave. You could follow it go all the way out and then all the way back. It was just brilliant.
For hours on end, I
Hours.
imagine, too.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
There's some sound samples for us. You could see it. Mike.
Yeah,
And
totally.
then you'd have the
Totally.
from the groundhogs. It's
Yeah.
like, that's not Ellen, it's Steve. Steve.
Alan, Steve, Alan.
So we just need to find a Martin, a Chris, and a Mark.
we have them actually. We have to merge podcasts.
Yes.
Anyways, so welcome to another episode, gentlemen. This is I've been wanting to do this episode since we started. Well, one, to get it out of the way, but two, because it's juicy.
I've been wanting to do this since I was 12.
Well, technically, we've all been doing it since we were 12.
I'm still looking forward to this.
Until the end. We'll find out at the end if you weren't. Okay.
Maybe we're jumping the shark today.
I've heard lots of good things.
Okay, quit it. Time out for a
They'll
second.
drop.
So for everybody, we are doing. Fuck you both. Jesus. Now I know how you feel, Jason, when me and Mark go off the rails. Fuck. All right.
There are no rails.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. I was going to say there was a time. There was a time. Didn't own a skateboard, but I rode the rails.
I had to do an 11-hour podcast.
Never been on a train, but I've been on the rails. So this is the puberty episode. So we decided to. I decided. Let's just be honest here. That the best place to start would be to like where puberty really started for you. What was like the first big mental or physical change in your youth that you noticed and you were like, what the fuck?
I'm not sure where to delineate that one time-wise. I remember in like grade 6 looking around and like girls started to look different. And I started to know which girls I liked, like which girls were pretty.
Okay.
But then like nothing happened with that. You know? And then I did notice it was weird because, and I don't know if this happens in every grade, but the girls all shot up first. So
Like they hit puberty before.
Well, and in grade 5 and 6, all of a sudden, 25% of the girls were like the tallest 25% of the classroom, and I was like, "What the?" What?
You make a
This
good
is
point. No,
intimidating.
in
And it was
doing-
like just within a couple years, like by grade 8, we had like caught up and surpassed. But it seemed to start first with them.
It is, and it actually is a thing. Like researching this, I didn't want this episode to come off as just like three guys standing around talking about when they got boners, right? Like it's part of it. It's not all of it, but I wanted to look at. I'm like, is there more to puberty? Because I remember there being more to it than just acne and oily skin. I remember it was an internal thing as much as it was an external thing. Well, for me, in that regard. But in researching it, girls beat boys. They get there first. I don't want to claim I read the science because I skipped that and wanted to get to the. I was like, I don't understand 4-syllable words. But there is a science behind it based on the hormones differing between the two. So you are right that you're like you're looking around and you're like, how I'm attracted to her, but she's taller than me.
She could kill me.
She could kill me, right? So
Well, Leanne, if you're out there, I love you.
so like that was your first notch. You were more looking.
Yeah,
'cause
at the
puberty-
time, I guess at
yeah.
the time I didn't recognize it as that or anything, because it was sort of an external thing. Like I noticed other people. It
Okay.
wasn't me noticing myself.
Which is still part of puberty because the environment that you're used to, you're all basically playing the same game. And then next thing you know, some people get brought up to, the better team. And then next thing you know, they're in the pros and you're still on the JV team.
Exactly.
And so it might be more external at first than internal later.
Well, and so here's my most probably, well, maybe I'll prove myself wrong. I want to say it's going to be my most horrific story today.
Okay.
But I remember in grade 7, because we had a separate school, grade 7 and 8. So, and then there you had to go to gym and change for gym and stuff. So there's the boys' change room and the girls' change room. And we all thought that one of the boys, Richard, had like hit and gone through puberty because he had this huge dick. And he would walk around like showing it off, but talking like so proud of it. That was grade 7.
That was grade 7.
Grade 8, we'd all hit puberty. And looking back at that in grade 8, I realized, oh, why did Richard have an erection in the change room all the time? I'm like,
changes the whole story.
Yeah, maybe not something you want to brag about so much. Maybe you just go find a corner and put your pants back on.
That's so funny.
Small town living.
You know everybody.
Oy vey. What about you, Mark? Like, were you?
I'm honestly, you guys I'm not the one who came up with this topic. And when you said the topic, it's not like it struck like massive chords with me that rang out like some of the other topics we're talking about.
Yep.
I don't think I can go back and find a time that like I'm like, oh yeah, that something changed. I don't know when things changed for me.
What about externally? Do you remember when girls started to develop?
Yeah, I sort of.
Or your
but
buddies
it was a
were
weird time
changing
in like when I was in junior high school because the fashions were like giant baggy sweatshirts.
Right.
So it was hard to tell if a girl had really developed because they all kind of look the same. Like a beaver canoe sweatshirt, 3 sizes too big, looks the same on everybody.
Well, and you skipped a couple grades too, hadn't you?
I skipped one grade.
Skipped a grade. So there's also that, a lot.
So I was always the
the
youngest, right?
Yeah.
And I just never really noticed a point. Like, I guess guys and girls started paying more attention to each other, but I don't know what never really hit home the same way. Like, it just kind of happened, and I'm like, okay, I don't know. There was no big, massive change, I guess, unless it's like when I had my first girlfriend, but that has nothing really to do with puberty.
No, because puberty is more. Honestly, going into this, I was like the major aspects of puberty are like, zits and oily skin and body hair for a guy, right? And for women, you're developing into your body
and zits and oily skin.
The same. Yeah, no, it's
a double whammy.
Yeah, that does not discriminate, right?
So I never had a big acne issue.
No? Okay.
My brother had horrible acne problems, a stepbrother, and that never stood out to me. So it wasn't like that was a big keying in feature.
Okay.
I don't know. I never really had much body hair, so it's not like suddenly I have I'm blonde by nature. So
you may be covered in body hair, and just
right?
Know it.
Yeah. So all of my body hair was like really.
Come here, take your shirt off and let me.
At that age, right? My arm hair, if it started growing or something, was just blonde, and
yeah,
like everything was kind of
under the radar.
There was no like big. Oh, suddenly I have dark hair growing on my body. Like it just didn't. I don't know. It didn't stand out to me.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I was paying attention to other stuff and didn't really stand out.
I didn't look.
The only thing that I could tell you that's sort of prepubescent, and I know you want all the good juicy stories about young teen masturbation and stuff. And
we'll get there.
But the only thing I think that I could ever differentiate when kind of puberty, quote unquote, hit or sexual maturity, is that I remember as a younger kid, kind of discovering my body and discovering what masturbation was, playing with myself. And when I got to the feeling of climax, there was nothing. Okay. Right? So I discovered it before prepubescent, right? You still climax, you still have the feeling.
Yeah.
Right.
But nothing comes out.
Chemical dump.
Right? Yeah, chemical dump, not actual dump. And so I guess I discovered that. And then one day, I guess, as you go through things, whatever, then suddenly, there's an ending that you have to take care of.
Great. Thanks for nothing.
So, but I remember like as a younger kid, prepubescent, I guess, being like, oh, this is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Something to do in the bathtub.
Do you remember the literal first time?
No.
No?
Nope.
Okay.
All right.
I do. I was up at the cabin. I was 13. And I was up working with my brother in one of the outpost camps. And he got up at like whatever, ungodly o'clock, probably like 4:30 or some insane thing, and like started working. And so I was like slowly trying to wake up like 6 o'clock. And then discovered that that feels nice, and that feels nice, and that feels nice. Didn't know what I was doing at the time. Like didn't put the pieces of the puzzle together.
Totally.
Like, oh, this is that.
Yeah.
And then things wrapped up, and I'm like, whoa, that was lovely, huh? well, I can't, I got to deal with this. This is not super convenient up at the lake. It's not like I can just go throw this in a washing machine.
It's the first time that you make a mess that you can't go ask your parents to clean up. It really, like, if you think about it, you spill anything and you're getting yelled at by your mom, and your dad's like, well, it's your problem, son, deal with it. And then it's cleaned up. But it's the first time you find out that there's anything inside of you that's got to come out.
Let's not have a conversation with my parents about this.
And you can't go be like, Mom, what do I do?
Right.
Or like, Dad, what do I? Well, you definitely don't go to your mom. But
did you not know that this would take place?
no, I didn't. No, I didn't. I honestly did.
Like, I don't feel as though I was ever in the dark about what was going to happen.
I totally was.
Okay.
I totally.
Well,
totally
I was too, because like I said, I didn't I knew that was one thing, and that I was doing something over here. I didn't realize that I was doing that yet.
Yeah.
So
right.
it wasn't simply like, oh, geez, I guess that's what happens.
A plus B equals tube sock, right? Yeah. No, I
Did
totally,
you do that?
Did
you tube? I knew people that tube sock, and I'm like, that seems so obscene to me.
It's only because I think it was one of those things that started where, like, the first guy to do that, or the first person to figure that out, then told his buddy. Like, it's an urban myth, right? Like, it's not actually. It's just one of those not concrete rules, but
it turns into a concrete rule apparently.
When you like go under the bed and
Sometimes when you need something, I think your socks are just a natural sort of, you're wearing a cloth.
You're
like,
wearing,
I've not had toilet paper been stuck somewhere and I take a sock off.
You can lose a sock.
Yeah, you can totally lose a sock. And if you need another sock, you got another sock.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But I get what you're saying. Like, it's like wearing a rag, essentially.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, what's the cheapest thing that I currently have on that I could use to handle this situation?
It's the right color. Well,
What's expendable?
Yeah, I can go barefoot.
No one will ask any questions.
I learned that
these things come in packages of 15. It doesn't really matter.
I learned about that practice from a guy, a buddy of mine, but I didn't realize anyone was actually doing it. And like, he was 18, and he had a relationship with this sock, and I guess his mom found it and threw it away, and he was crestfallen. He was so upset. He's like, I always use that sock. I'm like, wait, go back. What the fuck did you just tell me?
We need to revisit the fact that you're falling in love with inanimate objects. Kid.
Well, and like that show Big Mouth, and that guy's like has an emotional relationship with his pillow. I was like, I know that guy. I went to school with him.
Right.
Did he have some sort of like lamb chop looking drawing eyes on it or something?
This is the sock that doesn't end.
So I think, in the first 10 minutes of this, we've already delved into like, you were talking earlier about the psychology of it and stuff. And I didn't have any real recollections of like being tormented or conflicted or whatever. But all the things we've said so far, it's a real testament to the like, just the outskirts that your brain will go when it's soaked in way too many random hormones.
It totally is.
You do go a little bit crazy. Like you don't do things you would normally do. Like I don't do things I would do now.
No, totally. Like if I think about all of the learning experiences that came from it,
right,
and the causes and the effects and the solutions, to now, it's like I wouldn't. I used it. If let's put it all out there. The first time I remember,
I'd prefer if you keep it in there.
I will. It's just a figure of speech. Okay. I'm not getting meta on this podcast.
Okay, good.
But I remember it was at my dad's, and I bought. I remember Raging Hormones.
Right.
And there was this video store in Beausejour, and it had a porn section,
right,
but it also had like a card collecting section.
Okay.
And oh my god, I can't believe I'm gonna say this. And this is like, if you remember the friendship episode where I talked about being accused of masturbating,
right,
and being like,
oh yes,
I don't know how to accomplish this. I don't have a book on.
I can take the blame for it, but I can't do the deed.
Yeah, like hang it on me, but I'm throwing it out later. So I had gained some information since then, and like my T-shirt was on, and I got a hard on, and it was like rubbing against the T-shirt, and it felt kind of good. So I just wrapped my dick in my T-shirt, and had purchased these cards, like these collectible cards of like robot pinups, because it was the only thing the guy would sell me. Like he wouldn't give me like the real dirty shit, but he was like he cut off at like
this will get your job done.
yeah, it'll do the trick, right? And then went back and like would go through the card deck and like make a whatever out of make a thing out of my t-shirt that feels good, and then quit that when I realized that t-shirts are not made of friendly fabric.
T-shirts are not socks.
Yeah, no, like I had skid marks, right? Like when you the carpeted gym from high school when you skid your knees. Yeah, I did that to myself. So, but that's where your brain. The point is that's where your brain goes.
Wore a lot of polyester, did you?
Oh yeah. After that, I was never. Mom, can you make me pants out of? Can you make me some
Velour pants.
Velour pants.
Why do you want them
My
lined
mom
with,
actually
lined
made
with
me-
velour?
My mom actually made me a velour suit, so I should shut the fuck up.
But yeah, that's where you go. But now I would be like, I'm not gonna fuck my t-shirt. Like I paid for that.
But yeah,
right?
you'll do crazy shit. Like when you just have to get to that balance point. I think
You do, and
I don't know when that balance is.
Well-
like 30 or something.
Well, yeah, men. I can't remember this stat, but like men mature, like they hit their sexual peak a lot, or I think it's 29 and 40 was the
Okay.
stat I heard. So there's that. That's a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah,
But you're flushed with hormones.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to figure your shit out, and then all these things start happening to you. So like did you like? There's the typical ones. So did you have zits, Jason? Did you have?
Well, I definitely got an increase of them. I didn't have like some. I remember some kids suffered from like they needed to get like medicated acne, and they have like facial scars from it and stuff. It was
like
I just had.
what is it? Not reactin. That's for allergies.
Yeah, what was that stuff called?
It's the commercial,
It's
right?
not Rogaine.
The
It's other one.
go-to.
Yeah.
Jessica Simpson used it.
Yeah, and Ashley too. That was yeah.
Oh, that's that later. I was thinking of like your regular.
Proactive.
Oh, OxyClean.
Yeah.
No,
is it
that's the stuff you clean your
No,
clothes
see,
with.
it's something like that.
Is it
Oxy.
proactive?
Proactive is the new one.
Okay.
Yeah, but like Oxy something with the
Yeah.
pads where you'd wipe your skin.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know what you're talking
I think it
about.
might have just been Oxy.
OxyClean.
Oxy.
Oxy? No, it's not. That's something else.
Can I get some more oxys? No, you can't.
You need a prescription and a big problem to obtain those.
I don't think those were a thing at that point.
Yeah, no, they weren't.
No, that was a good time though. That wasn't a thing.
But
okay,
yeah,
go on.
so I had an increase of that. That was irritating, an oily skin. And then the thing was, I remember kind of thinking like, well, okay, at least this will go away. And it still hasn't really gone away. I still get pimples. And when I first got them, they bothered me because I'm like, okay, this doesn't look good. Now I'm like, okay, I still get pimples like a teenager. I'll take it. I can deal with a pimple. I feel young again.
You're not walking 5 miles to gain water twice a day.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a pimple at you
Yeah.
know our what.
And I'm like that sort of throwback moment where I'm like looking in the mirror. I'm like, hey, I look like I'm 18 again. Nice. I'll take
That's
that.
all it takes. One pimple and suddenly
Oh,
you look
yeah.
18 again.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I just leave.
Those are some rose-colored glasses.
I just leave them now. I just leave them as long as they'll stay. I don't even pop them.
You don't pop them?
I'm kidding.
Oh, no, you do.
Of course,
You
of
do?
course I do.
Yeah, no, I.
But yeah, I honestly thought that this was going to end 25 years ago
Nope.
or 30 years ago, and I'm like, no, I guess this is going to stay with me.
I think those like I get zits now. I think they're stress related.
Mm-hmm.
They might be food related. I mean, there's
Right.
tons of reasons why you get zits, but when I get one now, it like now that I'm mid 30s, the metabolism is slowed down. So now I'm starting to notice these things about me. But pre-metabolism slow, like 6-7 years ago, I'd get a zit and be like, "Oh, I'm not perfect," you know, and that would be like an ego check. Where I'd look in the mirror and then be proud of it, like you're saying, Jason. Where it's like, meh, you know what, no big deal. But when you first get them, man, they can really fuck you up. I have some of my school pictures.
Yeah.
I got zits in.
Okay.
I always looked at the other kids that were way worse, and I'm like, yeah.
I
Nowhere
was sort
near
of
as
the same
bad
boat.
as that kid.
Yeah, I was in the same boat as you. It's like a couple I can deal with. Okay.
I'm looking at you and I feel like a pepperoni pizza, and I can't explain
Like,
why.
I had freckles, but freckles are nowhere near as bad as whatever's going on there.
Yeah.
No, freckles are cute.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the other two things that I do recall getting that were really shitty, and I got them like right away, was my eyes got fucked up, and I started needing glasses. I had those in grade school.
I had those in
which
grade
sucked,
school
you
too.
know, but sort of same thing like grade 5, grade 6, it sort of kicked in. I'm like,
you got you.
oh, this is a nice present.
I got you
And
beat
then
out of
also
grade 2.
the gift of allergies, which is like, you know what? You guys promised me hair and a lower voice and a whole bunch of good things and bigger muscles, and I've got allergies and I can't see anymore. This sucks. Fuck you and your puberty.
Who gave me this fucking bad dealt hand? No, I had glasses when I was in grade 2. So
Whoa.
I was just born wrong.
Born defective.
Born defective. Still figuring out where the missing pieces are.
I'm just going through the sight thing now.
Yeah. You really? Yeah.
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 100%.
See, isn't that weird? Because that's usually something that happens in grade school, right? Like,
Well, no, because it happens when you're young one way,
or the other.
and then it goes the other way when you get older. So Mark probably had great eyesight.
I'm only getting the other
You're
way.
just getting the tail end of it now, so it's
Yeah.
all right.
Are you in like reading glasses yet, Mark?
Yeah, I can't read stuff. And I find, okay, so I can read something. It's okay. Put on glasses. It's much clearer. Use my glasses for like an hour or two while I'm reading stuff. Take them off, and my sight's like way worse than it was before I put the
Because
glasses
you're becoming
on.
dependent.
Yeah. And I try not to, but yeah, some things are getting frustrating. I sit in front of books, writing, computers all day long. And so between the computers and the book and everything else, it's just straining my eyes too much. It's frustrating though, when you can't read something. I don't like, I've gone this long in my life and I can't read something. And then you do this and it's like, oh, like I really do. My eyes just aren't tired. Like I do need glasses.
Yeah.
Because it's crystal clear when I put them on.
And the weird thing about that is you'd think at an older age, you'd just be like, well, this is the way it's going. But more people that I talk to that are getting glasses now, it's kind of a hit, right? Like it's if you're used to it, right? It's one of your 6 senses.
Right.
So there's 6, right? 5 senses.
There's 5 real senses.
5 real
and
senses.
6 senses.
I'm
and
bored
6
with
senses.
6. I don't
And
know
at
what the
least
6th is.
There's at least 14.
Okay.
I've got
Well,
some
well,
sonar when I'm in the tub.
all
Do you
right.
talk to the dolphins?
Does he call you on the weekend? Does he go, okay? Where the fuck was I?
Glasses.
Glasses. But it's losing something that you've now experienced your whole life. I think that's
Right.
what it is. You're like, oh, I can't see that as good.
Right.
Whereas me and you, Jason,
It's
were
the
young.
first step of decrepitude.
Yeah.
You got it in grade 2. I got it in grade 5.
Yeah.
So did you notice the fact that you
It's
were,
all
because
over.
back in the day when we were going through the change,
Yeah. The change. I like that.
I think that's different.
the
But
change, going through puberty, you know, kids made fun of kids more back then because we were allowed to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was
Toughen
like
us up.
innocent making fun of, right? But it was like braces, glasses, zits. Those were the big things you made fun of people for.
Spectacles.
Did you guys, did that affect your pubescent ears that you had glasses, 4 eyes?
It didn't help. Like it definitely it's an easy go-to insult when you're a kid. And I mean, I'm sure Jason can say it too. I've heard it all, like 4 eyes and window face and
window face is new, actually.
yeah, yeah. Come to the north end of Winnipeg.
Okay.
They're meaner over there. So I don't think it. I don't think it helped because, okay, so you're a good-looking kid without glasses because glasses are looked upon as corrective, right? They're
Right.
not an improvement. Now
Right.
they've gotten cooler. So I had the oily skin. I had more hair then. On my head, and I had the zits. So the glasses just made me a target. I think
Right.
like it was like, well, that's the fuck. I can make fun of him in my sleep, you know.
And you
Right.
weren't wearing the stylish shades back then.
No.
It was just
Right.
pure utility.
Yeah.
You totally like mom pick, right? And you don't get to be like,
Yeah.
those are cool.
And they were heavy, too.
So they were heavy, and they were
Heavy.
like my face, like it was like the
Right.
straight
Like
across
snooker
the top.
glasses.
Exactly, and then a big loop down underneath. Can't see shit.
Oh, to see those pictures.
I'll find them. I'll
Be glorious.
I do remember being kids trying to tease me and call me 4 eyes. And my response was just sort of like, do better. Come on.
Fuck off.
Were you were
That's
that woke
weak.
then?
I was. I guess I was. Yeah. And maybe that was not so woke, but that was my defensive posture.
Yeah.
It was just like, come on, do better than that.
Yeah.
It's weak.
Come back to me when you got something.
Yeah,
to work with
exactly.
you. Did you have any Did you have any of these external ones, Mark? Because you said you kind of skipped by it, but
No. Never had braces.
What
Never
about
had
growth
glasses.
spurts? Did you
Did
You're
you-
a pretty
yeah.
big guy. Did you
That's
have
on
that
this
big,
list.
like,
That's yeah.
I was always big.
But did
Right.
you? Were you okay? So not compared to girls, because obviously we've kind of figured out that most of the girls grew and matured quicker than we did physically. But did you have a growth spurt amongst the other guys? Like, did you notice you were bigger than them, or that you got bigger than them, or that they got
not
bigger than
height
you?
wise, no.
No?
You again skipped a grade. You probably were littler, even though you were big for your
We had
age,
like a couple
maybe.
really tall kids, so if you weren't one of the two tall kids, then you kind of just got lost in the middle. You weren't the little kid, you weren't the tall kid. I was always big.
Yeah.
Like, not necessarily tall, but I was always big. Like, play football, like dragging kids down the field because they can't tackle you.
Yeah, I know. I've always looked at you and been like, where were you when I was playing Red Rover?
But again, it's I didn't have braces, didn't have glasses, didn't have a bad acne problem. I was like the young kid, so that was probably the worst. That I wasn't going through all of, maybe that was something that I wasn't going through probably a lot of this stuff at the same time as all the other people that were my contemporaries.
Sure.
Right? They maybe went through it a year before I did. And then by the time I got around to it, it's not like we were talking about it when we're together.
Okay, yeah.
Right? Maybe
all
that
right.
was some of the reason.
They'd all been through it.
Yeah, and you're now you've seen it. So
Yeah.
you've kind of got a little bit more of a bearing on it.
I wasn't like the first one experiencing something of my peer group.
Yeah, you were coming at 10.
Yeah. I was always I'm always behind because I'm young. So I think maybe I knew all those things before I discovered them, like, by surprise.
That's really kind of like that. It's kind of lucky in a way, because like I'm thinking back to those years, 13 to 17, and not recalling fond memories of going through all of these things. Like it definitely, and it's even like it was harder because of a distant father and a mother who was trying to figure it out the first time, right? Like I imagine a single mother sucks. Like to come back, if I was to ever exist, if I was to ever go to hell, my hell would be being a single mother raising a child. That's just not like I think back to all the, and it's not fun. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So her trying to figure it out and then have those conversations, I was figuring it out on my own,
Right.
which comes, like I've mentioned the Pink Bic ladies razor, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
And the worst part is like, it didn't take me long to realize that razor was used on other parts of my mom's body.
Right.
After I had used it the first time.
Right.
It wasn't like 5 years later and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, I'm adjusted. Like it was like a month later, I think.
Right. Oh, that's good.
And I'm like, whoa. And then
Can
I
I
was
get
like,
my own
can I get
razor
my
now?
own razor, please, now? But my first like major pop, like all the major things, but I had a mustache. I had a mustache in grade
Right.
7.
Oh, okay.
Oh, did you have one of those kids that had just like that dirty little,
You
like it looked like you just kind of like a little dirt on your face? And
Yeah,
then-
like
and you kept it?
Yep.
Oh, I had a kid like that in my school. He just looked
Everyone did.
greasy.
Yeah.
I
Little
looked
greasy
I
bugger.
looked so greasy. I looked like I stole cigarettes. I look like I shit in people's backyards.
But see,
and-
you have you have pretty dense dark hair. I don't know if you always did, but like I could never grow a beard like yours. Like I'm not capable.
yeah. So I'm because you're pretty smooth.
I'm a little light on the hair.
You're a little light on the hair.
Yeah.
Have you always been light on the like just
Yep.
can't grow the beard?
No.
No. Did you shave a lot as a kid?
Yeah, all the time.
Okay.
And like never let it grow. As soon as I started, like could shave, I did. But yeah, it just never really had much facial hair.
Okay.
Yeah,
My dad's not a hairy dude either. I don't think it's not like he has a 5 o'clock shadow. Like it's kind of like shave every 2 or 3 days
Yeah, I remember those
kind of
days.
people, right?
I remember.
That's how I still am. I'll shave every 2 or 3 days.
You're so fucking lucky. Like I love my beard. That's the reason I have it. But if I went down to the wood like you, I'd hate it. Like I have to let it grow to 5 days before I can even touch it with a razor because my
Right.
skin is so sensitive.
Oh, okay.
It's a razor burn. I always had when I first started shaving, I always had like a patch of razor burn that would
Right.
never leave. It was right. And I think it had to do with the growing Adam's apple
Right.
because
You'd always nick it.
I'd always nick it, and like it's like right on the right side of my Adam's apple. And
Right.
when that went away, my God, I almost threw a party for that because he couldn't wear a collared shirt. It was fucking annoying. But yeah, so my mustache was definitely there, and I had a bowl cut, right?
Right.
And I used to wear my hair in a ponytail when it was thick and dense enough to.
I did later on, yeah.
Yeah.
Not like post puberty, high school.
Oh, I was doing.
When you like when's the heart of puberty? What do you think, guys? Like when were those years?
I want to say it starts.
Like I seem to see 13.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're totally right. It starts around 10 or 11, and it extends all the way up through to 17, 18. Some people are later.
It really,
and
it's a real bell curve, that one.
It
the
is.
shape of that.
It
graph.
totally is. I know mine as leaving junior high, going into high school.
Right.
So 14 years old. The mustache was there for 3 years, and then all of a sudden there was some hair on my chin.
Yeah.
And then there was hair on my balls, and then there was hair under my armpits, and then there
Right.
was hair on my chest, and I was like, this is too much fucking hair. Like, no, I don't want this anymore. But I think that was my peak time
Right.
for it. What about, Jason, were you?
I'm trying to put the timeline on it. I know that in high school I was adamant I shaved every single day. I never ever missed for years and years and years. And now I'm just like, fuck that. I'm so happy when it's Movember because I can just pretend that I'm doing this on purpose. I'm actually just lazy and can't be bothered.
Sure, yeah. And then everybody's like, way to go, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
I like Decembeard personally. I know that's
Yeah.
not an actual. I just like saying that because
Okay.
everybody forgets.
And
what
I
it
prefer
is.
January.
Okay. I never get tired of those. What do you think, Mark? Like, okay,
I think for me it was probably like 13, 14, 15 were sort of the
pivotal.
and I'm sure I was going along that spectrum the whole time, but that was because that was early on. That was the most disorienting time. That was when things sort of caught me off guard. I was lucky because remember, there's always like you come back after summer break in those years, and then like 3 of the guys are like 9 inches taller or some shit.
That's
and so I had that pretty consistently, like pretty much every year. I'd come back like I got to be pretty tall pretty fast, but I didn't suffer. I knew some guys that had like they had physical pain. They were growing so fast that like their bones bones hurt and shit. And I'm like, I didn't have to suffer through that, which was good.
Yeah, I never had that either. I think it was maybe me, like what I did at that time. Like if you were into sports and you were playing, I don't know, hockey or football, you'd realize with your age group, because you had to play in age groups, you'd realize if you developed that much faster or slower because everybody around you would be the same.
Right.
When I was that age, it didn't stand out because I was big to begin with. So I was already bigger than all the other kids.
Right.
Then I think when they started going through puberty, they kind of caught up to me.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
So I'm wondering how you've.
Then
you had a good
afterwards, then
buffer.
I got bigger. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So there was a point in the middle. I think everybody just kind of caught up, like, because I was always big. I remember, like, I hit 200 pounds for the first time when I was 13.
Wow.
So
Okay. So no.
so I'm not.
I didn't think you were going to say 13. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, do the math on that.
So
Jason.
I'm not like a person that was small that got big when I got older. And I was having this discussion with somebody the other day. It's kind of how I can handle my size a little better than some other people. Like other people went through life at 175 pounds and then suddenly they put on 50 pounds.
Sure.
Right. And I, like, for the last 20 years, I fluctuate up and down 20 pounds.
Yeah.
But I've never put on that super amount of weight.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my bone density, my muscle size when I was growing up, it just naturally builds to carry your frame. Right. But if you suddenly pack on a bunch of weight, you don't have, like, I don't know, if you suddenly pack on 40 pounds, can you jump 3 feet in the air anymore? Like, but I played volleyball at this size, so I can jump at this size. I can't imagine if I lost like 60 pounds.
Banging your head on that basketball hoop.
Right?
Well, yeah, no, you're right, because that's your life. Gravity's been pressing down on you.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you change a physical characteristic about yourself. That's gonna definitely, and it makes when you say that, because I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, what was so special about your situation where all of these things that the majority of teens go through, you're kind of like no big deal or didn't really notice, and now it seems that your situation is very.
And then I think what had to do
that.
with it too is that through junior high school and high school, all my free time was spent acting. So I went to like acting class like 2 nights a week, and we had rehearsals, and then I'd play. So all my friends were like my acting group, and I didn't hang out with like the people from school very much.
Yep.
And that was not one age. So I'd go to acting and there'd be people that ranged over like 10-year spans. So there'd be people 5 years younger than me, people 5 years older than me. So it's you don't notice that you're changing amongst those people because everybody's all over the map already. So when you're not around your age group all the time, like hanging out with just your peers, I don't think you notice it as much.
I think you're totally right. I couldn't agree with you more. And I would trade puberties with you in a minute for that fucking special feature. But it's a very that's you're the exception to the rule, I guess, in a lot of cases. What about appetite? Appetite is a big one. I didn't think it was so much of a big one, and it means you're growing, but there is a point where your appetite does increase as a kid. And I remember average size meals, but then all of a sudden my mom would make a bunch of snacks and they wouldn't last the Friday night. Like I was putting away craft dinner after craft dinner after craft dinner, and it wasn't showing anywhere. Did you guys notice an appetite change when you were in those
looking back,
years?
I for sure do.
Yeah.
I know. I remember I said this the other day to somebody. I don't know. We were talking about Big Macs. Like when I was a kid, you'd go to McDonald's like with your parents if they took you there once in a while, and you'd have like the cheeseburger or whatever, the Happy Meal kind of thing. Yeah. And I remember like, I don't know if this was my dad or somebody else that had gone to the restaurant with me, ordered a Big Mac. And I remember saying to myself, like, I don't remember what age
what
am
have I done?
I'm like, one of these days, I'll be able to eat an entire Big Mac all to myself.
He says the same thing now because he's hoping to get back down to one.
Because I thought it was amazing. And then, yeah, like you said, then it progresses. And then there's stories. And I guess I didn't notice it as much because me and my stepbrother, who were 2 years apart, we'd like go out for family dinners and stuff, and my parents always joke about how they'd let us order anything on the menu. We'd just devour stuff. But there was two of us doing it, so it didn't seem strange. Yeah, because we were both like, yeah, we'll have the I don't know, the lobster and steak with the 2 milkshakes and at the family dinner. And I think we're eating our parents out of house and home.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
See, I don't think, like for me, I didn't have a big noticeable jump in my appetite that I can think of. But what I did notice was, like when I was younger, I could eat 4,000 or 5,000 calories in a day every other day, and like that was fine, that was normal. And then I knew when puberty had ended, because that ended. And then it became a cumulative thing where you're like, oh, wait a second, I've actually put on 25 pounds here. Like I have a 25-pound gut that I have to pay more attention now. I have to be more careful. I can't just eat whatever.
The
so sort of when that tap got shut off, that was whatever it was that was the growth that was burning all those calories.
I didn't really read too much into the science because I'd rather make up my own points.
Make some shit up.
So I won't claim anything as
we're gonna call it Mayans.
Monday's Mayans.
Yeah. It's my science. It's not really accurate, but
yeah, it's how I see.
Mostly opinion.
2 + 2 is blue.
Yeah, exactly.
But the metabolism starts around that age. Like it really drops, but it's because of the hormone imbalance, right? Like everything's going off. And then it eventually climatizes, I guess, lack of a better word, and you carry that for a while. The appetite stays with you, and then all of a sudden you're noticing the. Oh,
I still eat like I'm 14, but I just don't do it as often as I did when I was 14.
Yeah, no.
I used to do it 3 meals. Now I can only afford to do it once.
I do remember, I guess, when because I was always a big kid, and I remember at some point where I was just sick of always being the big kid. But not like big and strong.
I remember being so jealous of kids like you. I'm like, oh, if only I was big like one of those guys.
So I realized at this sort of near the end of high school, I'm like, I've been big all these years, bigger than the people I hang around with, a lot of them. Well, now I want to be as strong as my size I should be.
Yeah.
So that's when I started like going to the gym a lot, and so then I decided I was going to get as strong as people thought I was because of my size.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want to let
strong
people
as
down.
You look.
Because I started working like security jobs when I was 17. So I would be put in positions where like I was a big guy,
Right.
Yeah.
and I wanted to be as strong as people thought I was.
Hold somebody down instead of just look good.
Yeah.
So I remember that was part of that whole process, but that's a little like later on.
Sure.
That like more 17, like when I was in university.
Yeah.
When like what's the
Because I was in
down for
university
puberty?
at
What's
17.
the age there?
Up 17, 18
17, 18?
17,
Okay.
18 is where it starts to balance out. There is obviously, some people bloom later,
Sure.
right? Other
Bloom.
Blossom into
More
a
like
young man.
fester. More like fester.
fester, yeah. No, that's my happy word. So yeah, the bracket was 10 to 18. That's your playground.
I think you were talking earlier about the psychological, mental part of living with those. The only thing that really I recall was aggression and violence, a propensity for aggression and violence. That's when that got turned on.
That is
like
a really
I
good
could
point
make myself do it to protect myself when I was younger, and then I got to a point where I'm like, I fucking hope he goes off. Because I want to do this right now.
And you don't
even though I would have got my ass handed to me.
Oh yeah. The younger Jason and the younger Mark. Had Mark not gotten big, he would have been the age-old adage: the bigger they are, the harder they fall.
And I was like the big, quiet. Like I never fight.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
gentle giant
kind of thing. Yeah,
I know
that was me. Still is really.
That totally is 100%. And Jason, when you talk about wanting to kick the shit out of somebody, I'm just like, what? How are you ever like that? Like where?
Jason was the kids that I knew not to fuck with.
Really?
Yeah.
This guy?
Yeah, they're little off their rocker,
little
right?
mini psycho.
Yeah, you can see it in his eyes. You know not to mess with that kid.
Yeah. Okay, I know you're.
That kid's gonna get a rock.
Yeah. Like you look. You look into your eyes, and it's like that goes far.
Yeah, exactly.
That goes real. That's some deep.
What does that kid look like? He's finished Vietnam.
He's the kid in class taking apart his click pen and making a gun out of the pieces of it. And you know that there's something just a little off.
Comes with a rubber band Uzi, not just a rubber band one shots. But anger and aggression is part of it because the changing of the hormones and everything, and that's usually.
Well, when people monkey around with steroids, a lot of that is that's where roid rage comes from. It's from having too much hormones in your system of certain kinds.
The chemical imbalance.
Yeah.
But that aggression that you're talking about, the article I read talks about how it's towards your parents maybe more than it is towards your peers. No, it was towards everybody. You're shaking your head.
I wanted to get in a fight.
Yeah, like that was you'd come home from school, right? And this was a really interesting point because you come home from school. And they use the example of your mom goes, hey, how was your day? And you're like, good. And you just walk away.
Right.
That's also part of puberty, right? The shutting down and the anxiety and the being in your head because these changes are happening. You don't have the balls, so to speak, to have a conversation about it with your peers or your parents because it's happening live.
You don't even know what to do.
You don't know what to do.
You don't know how to solve that problem or even try to solve that problem.
So you shut down. You go in and then you get aggressive because it's a quick outlet as opposed to a common sober thought, which you can't have because dopamine, serotonin, boner, right? Like, what the fuck is wrong with my body? So that's an interesting aspect of that. This is one. When did you start to stink? Body odor. And is it just as bad now? Because I'm a smelly motherfucker.
Here's the weird thing. I'm not.
You know?
Like when I went to Sundance, didn't bathe at all for 4 days, worked in 30-degree weather every single day, didn't sleep at night. I didn't smell bad at all. Nothing.
How do you do that?
Just that's what comes out.
Because he's so full of preservatives.
Exactly. You got to freebase Lickamade and then you'll be fine.
Yeah. Like he's like what do they say when you take an order of French fries at McDonald's and just leave them there for like 4 years and they don't change?
Yeah.
That's Jason.
So is Jason like
I don't
a
know what
giant
triggers that.
Swedish fish inside?
Yeah, basically.
Like
he's got a warm, soft, chewy center.
Okay, so no.
So no, yeah.
So you've never stunk.
It like there was times when I was a teenager, like when you're figuring that out, like the first time you're like, hey, I need deodorant, or I don't know if you guys have ever had the experience when like you're the person that notices for someone else, like as you get older, you're like, hey, you need deodorant. You know what I mean? Like, and it's, it's sort of that rite of passage, and it's sort of, it's almost like an olive branch. Like, hey, I can help you.
Or
you should get this.
Or it's your first real, like, awkward comment about yourself, right? Like,
right.
No one's going to comment on, hey, excuse me, you have acne, or excuse me, your skin's oily, but they will say, excuse me, you don't make this room smell nice.
Right.
Or, and like, I remember learning about it in the locker room, because the locker room went from, like, no smell.
Right.
And I
just stank smell.
To fucking ball sack, like, in no time at all. Like, I played soccer.
Right.
I never played the hockey. And the sports team thing that you brought up, Mark, was interesting because that's when you start to physically, like, hockey is like get fucking naked and shower, right?
Yeah.
And football's the same. I don't know why soccer never.
No wonder I never played sports.
Right?
That's
like,
nonsense.
It totally is, right? And the things that go on in there.
You should
like,
have little private rooms you go in. Close the door behind you.
I'm so glad I didn't play a sport that required me to get fully naked and shower after, that allowed me to go home and shower, because, like, it's a bunch of kids who are all getting dicks for the first time, playing with them publicly, and doing things
around with
them
boners
and like, look at the puppets I can make with my ball sack, right? Like, now guys go on tour with that kind of show, and they get paid thousands of dollars to do that. But then, oh man, if that I would have been the kid in the corner, like, showering with my bathing suit for shiz. But so no smelly Jason.
No.
Right.
I don't. I think probably I was wearing deodorant and wearing cologne before I started smelling. So
again,
it wasn't
Mark
like
beat
in response.
punch.
Again, it's hanging out with kids that are older, right?
Yeah.
Like, my best friend that whole time was 2 years older than I was.
It smelled good.
So it was a thing too. The group I hung out with, like, right when I started getting it into high school and stuff like that, it was like, we wore a bunch of cologne. Yeah. Like, I had like 8 different colognes when I was in high school. Dracar Noir and Polo and Colors and,
eventually
you name it, Eternity and Obsession.
Oh, don't stop talking. You're making it feel so good. Do you remember, like, the 5 kit? The 5
100%.
Do you remember those? Like, and there were little miniature versions of Obsession and CKB and CK1.
Oh yeah.
See, man, I think, how, like, you change, like, when you look at a cell, you change it, right? There's that argument. Yeah. I don't know what the big word for
when
it
you put cologne in the cell, you also change it.
It's true. But it's kind of like Mark was taken out of his race and put into a lane that was already a couple steps ahead.
Yeah.
And just by osmosis, you kind of maybe psychologically just was like, okay, I'll skip all that too, right? Like, skipping the grade skipped.
Yeah, and right at puberty. That age, along with my friends, is my dad had met my stepmom, and we were going there and spending every weekend from when I was like 10 on with my stepbrother and that family, and he was like just over 2 years older than me. So
there you go again.
Him and all his friends. So even at home, everybody was older than me. So it wasn't. I don't think I was ever around kids my age.
Man,
I was also really fortunate too, because I had the older brother 5 years older than me.
Sure.
So I didn't have to go to mom and dad for things, and to a large degree too, he would come to me before I had to go to him. He would be like, I'm going to tell you something you're going to need to know soon.
That's amazing.
So it just made life a whole lot easier. I remember when, the second time we're in Florida, and he was doing some weird thing with his fingers, and he was showing me what women look like naked. And I'm like, wow, okay, all right. So he's like, yeah, right around here near the top, that's pretty key, but not too much, or that's not key. And, so 5 years is a big gap, right? Like, he was an adult to me. My whole life, he was always pretty much an adult.
You had a cheat code, basically.
Yeah, so I had the book of cheat codes. I could do the Rubik's Cube in 3 minutes because I had all the moves down. and I remember him even telling me, like, here's what I did. Here's why it didn't work out. Here's the price I paid for that.
Oh, fuck you
Don't
both.
do what I did.
Like, I did not have it. I was trial and error all the time. Like, where does it go? How does it work? What does it do? All of that stuff and it's kind of, how it gets to the point where you hear about something.
Yeah.
And then everyone knows and you're just too afraid to ask.
Right.
So you're like, oh yeah, I know what a XYZ is.
Yeah.
And you have no idea.
No clue.
And then when you go
it's a car part.
Yeah. And then when you go to do it, you do it wrong, and then someone's like, "What do you think this is?"
Sure.
And it's like, isn't that
Is
what?
that the thing?
Isn't that where that goes?
Oh, I got the map sideways.
So there's no blowing in a blowjob?
Wait, yeah, no, I'm not kidding. I'm not fucking kidding. I was that dense.
I thought there was blowing in a blowjob.
So
I
did
was
I.
convinced that a blowjob was just when you blew in somebody's ear or on their neck or something
Right.
like that. That's all it.
Well, when I found out what it was, and like the word blow, I was like, "There's a tiny hole there," and I know what happens.
a
when you-
balloon.
I've seen a balloon do its thing. That's not happening. That's not on the menu.
I remember the one thing that did confuse me quite a bit was because I grew up in the tourist camp, and so I managed to steal a couple of girly mags along the way. And the way women are represented in a Playboy versus the way they're represented in like a Hustler or a Penthouse is very physically, like physiologically very different.
Yes.
And I was like, well, this is no help at all. None of this looks the same. These are all different. They're all completely different. They're unrelated items.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're saying.
And, and I didn't realize until I got much older and got some experience. I'm like, oh, yeah. Well, those two are garbage. Just don't look at those. That's not how a person is. That's nonsense. I remember when...
You're getting rid of Playboy and Penthouse, right?
Yeah. No. Okay. I remember when I was
just sticking to Hustler and Cherry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Swank.
That's how life
Swank
is.
I got my subscription to Swank. Well, two stories here real quick. So
Take your time.
All right. So I remember we would come to Winnipeg, come to the city, when we were like 16, 17, we were old enough to like go on a trip kind of thing, like stay with your sister or whatever it was. And I would get someone's ID who was 18, 2 years older than me. So that number one, you could fake your way into the bar because you could get into the bar with a social insurance card back in the day.
Yeah.
Like you didn't, like photo ID wasn't a thing. You just had, it has a birth date on it. What's the birth date on this? If you memorize it, memorize what your sign was because they would always ask you that.
Yeah.
And then you're golden. But I could also go, and I would go to, at Portage Place, there was like a drugstore there, and they had the big magazine rack.
Oh, yes.
And I would literally go and buy 2 copies of every dirty magazine they have. I would have a stack of magazines 9 inches tall, and then I would, to fake it, right, I would like put a razor or shaving cream or toothpaste, or like I was an adult who had an apartment. I would put that on top to try and fake it. And they're like, they would just sell it to me because they don't give a shit. And I would be like, 1 copy for me, 1 copy for John, 1 copy for me, 1 copy for John.
You're such a good person.
And then they're like, I would walk out and there's the garbage can right outside the place, like razor, toothpaste, whatever it was like I thought made me an adult would just go like, I'm not taking this home with me. And then the other memory that I had was, so I would have been 13 and my brother was 18 and he was in Germany and he wrote me a letter. And the one part that stuck with me that I'll never forget is he was just giving me general advice about girls. And this is great advice for anybody. He said, if you go for a walk with a girl and you sit down by the side of the lake, if she sits real close to you, she probably wants you to kiss her. I'm like, cool.
Or you're on a very small log.
Exactly. I'm like,
Check
cool.
log size
I
prior
got
to
I got the
kissing.
inside moves on this one. That was but that was the kind of thing that he would just like. I would never would have asked. I wouldn't have known to ask. How would you? So if you want to help somebody who's like
Who's
going to
suffering
go through that, you have to like figure out what they need to know
That was good
and tell
advice.
them. Yeah.
Pick a long bench and sit down, and then if you sit first, then wherever she sits.
Yeah.
It's a great way of not being creepy, right? Like
Sure.
It's a barometer
Yeah.
for the unspoken that clearly you can't.
He just wanted to make sure that some girl who wanted me to kiss her didn't sit down, and then I got up later and wandered off, and that was it. Like, I didn't know what that was, Like, pay attention to what she's doing. She will let you know if she's comfortable or happy or not.
Well, the whole dating and puberty thing, like I remember that first awkward time where you're at a school dance and you've got your hands around her waist and she's close and then you start to get the uncontrollable boner. And it's like what?
Nope,
like,
don't know what that's like.
That still happens to me. What are you talking about?
Okay, you skip 1 grade. You still don't know what that is. You know what you mean? Like your first, like it's because at that time, a good breeze, a stiff breeze, as they say, do the trick. So it's like those are the things, right? Or your voice cracking in front of her when you're trying to be cool, right? Like the voice cracking stage. That one, I mean, that
got me good.
Did it? Yeah. Did it nail you?
I have a pretty low voice now, and I did not as a very high pitched. So it was, I don't know how many octaves that is, but it probably dropped 3 or 4. It seems like it was a big difference. So when it would waver back and forth between the two, it was like a bad cheesy movie representation of what that's like. So that's
how are you doing?
yeah.
I don't think mine changed a ton, and if it did, it changed quickly. Like I don't,
Right.
doesn't stand out. The
A
cracking,
smooth transition.
yeah, it might have happened like a little bit, but nothing that. I mean, I didn't sing or like I wasn't using my voice as much. That I did theater, but it didn't really stand out.
See, what I never understood was this fear of getting a boner in public. Because I'm like, how loose are your pants? Like,
I wore sweatpants a lot.
I wore
younger.
sweats.
I guess I never.
I
I just wore jeans in all all through grade school and all. Like,
I imagine.
so
what
for
you
me,
look-
I was like, what is because you'd hear in like whatever a Judy Blume book or whatever it was, some reference,
Judy Blume.
some reference
Charlotte's
or
Web.
some reference or whatever to that, and I'm like, are people actually worried about this? And I'm like, because I never got busted per se.
They were only.
I mean, I had lots of humiliations in grade school, just not that one, I guess.
Yeah, no, that one I didn't. It didn't happen a lot. Like it wasn't like math class
Right.
or shopping or anything like that. It was more or less in situations
When you're getting close with
when you were
someone.
getting close with
Sure.
a girl, right? So like holding hands would
Right.
do it, and
Sure.
a hand on the small of your back would do it, right? Like now that we're older, we're more controlled. We're more. No, I wouldn't say.
I'm shaking my head a little bit here.
Well, okay, all right. I mean, each to their own. What I'm saying is now I'm just like Margaret Thatcher on a cold day. Margaret Thatcher on a cold, right?
Well, that's a good point you make. You know what to do about it.
Exactly.
You know how to handle it versus that. The first time for all of this shit is pretty terrifying. I talked a little bit earlier with you outside about before we get started about the that show Big Mouth.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. It's one of those it makes you so. It's like cringe humor, but they've done such a good job of literally. I'm transported back 35 years or 40 years into my past, and I'm like,
Totally.
It's like I experience it again. I feel it again.
They
And
are
it's
nailing
that sense of just it's like
nostalgia.
It's being in an emotional free fall.
Yes.
You don't know what's going on. You don't know what's happening next. You don't know what to do about what's happening right now. It's like just being shot into a water slide at 1,000 miles an hour. That would be my assessment of what puberty is like.
And
I don't even recall knowing at the time how disoriented I was, how clueless I was,
totally right.
how the fog of war that I just lived in for years, and then didn't realize until I got 20 years distance on. I'm like, oh yeah, you were a fucking write-off too, just like everybody else was.
Everybody was doing it silently, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Big Mouth is 150% like it's flashback.
And I laugh till I cry when I watch that show every time. Not every time. 50% of the time I laugh till there's tears coming out of my face because I'm just like, it's not joke based. It's just putting you back in that situation, that queasy, uncomfortable, awkward, and for all those things that you don't know what to do when they first happen, and a lot of it you do it and it goes wrong. Some of it you do it and it goes right.
Totally.
But it's just it's like closing your eyes and throwing darts at a board. You don't know. You have no background or intelligence to figure this stuff out. But when it does pay off, it's like winning the slot machine. You pull it off and you get all bells and you're like, yes, I've got one right.
Yeah, no, it is, and then that's your center point, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If I can get the shaving down, if I can get the acne under control,
Yeah.
if I can get the random boners out of the way.
And it's so horrible when you think about it. I'm gonna watch Big Mouth when I get home today.
Oh, I'm putting it on as soon as I'm done. I'm
I'm not
edit this.
familiar with this Big Mouth.
No,
You'll love it.
I
I recommend
are you
it to
serious?
everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Jason, give him a quick once
So
over.
it's a cartoon about all these kids, boys and girls, that are going through puberty, and they each get gifted with their hormone monster.
Oh, okay.
So the hormone monster, verbally, physically, does the things that normally happen internally for us.
It's like a perverted Casper.
And so and of course the female and the male one is very different, and the challenge and struggles. So just like I was telling Mike, it just sort of brings you back to that. You relive all those moments. It's cringe comedy at its very best, and I laugh until I cry. It's so good.
And it is dirty. It is good, but good dirty, right? Like
It's a lot of the awful things I forgot about. I should have watched a season of it to prep for this. I would have been ready.
Oh, it totally, like the inanimate object that we were talking about earlier. There's one of the main characters on it is in love with his pillow, and like his pillow is a character on the show and talks to him. And
is it a cartoon?
It's a cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And who are the voices in it? We've got Fred Armisen's in it. Maya Rudolph's in it.
Oh boy.
I am lacking right now. John Mulaney.
Oh yeah.
John
You're right.
Mulaney.
Yeah.
And his partner in crime. I don't know if you saw the other Netflix special they did where they dress up as old guys.
Nope.
Oh, what the hell's his name? This is embarrassing. Anyways,
That's okay.
honestly, watch it. It'll take you right back. So like, all right, we've covered like a really good grasp, I think, of everything that a male goes through during puberty. Now that we're refined, quote unquote, mature.
Again, I'm going to use the word festered, but
now that we've simmered a bit, what's your callback to your younger self? What do we start telling ourselves now that we know? Like, well, first of all, I guess the obvious for all of us would be, no matter how strenuous, like, you know, we had it or how easy you had it, Mark. I'm giving you shit. Is this too shall pass? I think that's the first thing,
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Like this isn't permanent. You're not going to be, doing this for the rest of your life. But what else? What would you say?
I don't know if I would have any advice back. How do you advise someone that's being shot through a water slide at 1,000 miles an hour? What advice do you give them? Like,
You do what your older brother did.
I don't. Yeah, exactly. I would tell myself all the things that I got told by my older brother, probably.
Yeah. Throw a playbook back,
which took a lot of the pressure off for me. So I would like. I guess what have I learned about this is how to do that for someone else. How to, like I said earlier, that look for, you don't even know what to ask. You're so disoriented, you don't even know what to ask. So you'll have to figure out for somebody what they need to know.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, definitely.
That would be my piece of advice. That's what I would tell my younger self, is all that stuff. Like, I think as adults, we've all grown, we've all learned all of those unavoidable lessons. You learn them in the heat of the moment. So like, what have I learned? What do I know? The same things that we've all learned, the same things that we all know. And the only way to learn that, like so many things, is to go through it the hard way.
Yeah.
And
it's not, I don't think it's meant to be easy, but you just made me think of something. Here.
Oh, no. He's giggling, people. I'm scared now.
If puberty happened to you tomorrow.
Oh, jeez. Like a second puberty.
Like a second puberty, right?
The third stage.
The third stage, right?
Does my penis get even larger?
There are.
Can we sign up for this somewhere?
No, there are 5 stages. They're the
Okay.
Tanner stages. I read about them. I don't know what each of them has, but there's 5 stages of puberty. First being hormonal, last being the physical outward
Right.
changes that we all experience. But like, okay, so say you skip it, right? It doesn't happen to you when you're 13. It happens to you when you're 30, your age right now. How would you combat it tomorrow, knowing what you know now? Like, how would you wake up tomorrow and all of a sudden have zits all over your face and really, like, I have oily skin to begin with, but like really, like, just take it all, shake it in a cocktail shaker and pour it on you.
Here's what you do. You go to Home Depot, you buy yourself a shovel and a pickaxe. You go in the backyard, you dig yourself a hole about 10 feet deep and about 10 feet around. Jump in that hole and wait for it to fucking end, because that's all you got. It's like trying to, duck and cover when the nuclear blast hits. There's nothing to be done for it.
No.
Like
I think kids nowadays basically do a version of that. They just go to their parents' basement and turn on the video games and eat chips and then come out 3 years later.
You're not wrong, my friend. You're not wrong.
Oh, you went in a caterpillar. You came out a butterfly.
Yeah. We didn't have quite that thing to do. Like, there wasn't.
Right.
No. Our parents were still telling us to get the fuck outside.
Yeah, we still had to
play in
go
the
out
yard.
in the daylight.
Yeah.
I don't want to go
Moroccan.
in the yard. People will see me.
I don't have this, my skin will get burned. I'm used to basement life.
Had to go to the sock hops.
One sock down.
Right? Yeah. Hop with one sock.
Why don't I have any pairs left?
This is sock hop.
Maybe that's why everybody was hopping, because they didn't have 2 feet to walk.
Now we know where it came from. I'm just imagining like a bunch of 35 and 40-year-old. Like I'm imagining everyone we know experiencing puberty all at the same time. We'd kill each other. It'd be a fucking mass murder. Like everybody would be trying to fuck each other. Everybody would be repulsed by each other. Nobody would be talking. Everybody would be in their head.
This sounds like Tinder to me.
Yeah. Okay. It's just a life version. Yeah. Yeah.
I always think back to myself at that age, and I don't know how I didn't realize what was going on with boys and girls.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're going through it and you're attracted to girls and, girls like you. And then when you say you have a boyfriend, but that lasts for like 3 days, you have a girlfriend.
Yeah, that's not
why couldn't I figure that? I mean, maybe
Lock that
maybe
shit
the
down.
world doesn't let you understand things when you can get into more trouble about them. Like if you knew what you did now when you were going through puberty, you could do some bad things to people.
would.
Like you could
And
take
you would.
advantage of people really easily.
And the
right?
hormones would prevent you from
Yeah.
being true to yourself and being in a good place.
But I
'Cause
look
like I said,
back
you're
there
crazy. You just do anything.
And I'm like, well, yeah, if everybody's going through this big hormonal thing and everybody was trying to want to try stuff out and stuff like that, well, why didn't I realize that at the time? Why didn't I realize there was girls that were horny that wanted to try things and, but the whole time you don't realize, you think you're the only one in that scenario, right?
Yeah.
But going back, I mean, if you knew that, holy shit.
You make a great point, because I look at when I told about the masturbation story, right? Like I wish I had skipped that part and just jerked off into my t-shirt. That would have been a way better way to start this whole
Get
process.
on with it.
Yeah, like get everybody knowing I do it out of the way when I don't even know what to do. But I didn't know then, but if I had known that then, I'd be in some serious shit.
Oh yeah.
Like but you pose what I'm thinking is that does happen to some kids.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Sure.
it's a
remember
week-long
those
process.
kids.
Everything happens, and then you're still playing catch up, and as opposed to like, okay, Jimmy went away for the summer, or Susie went away for the summer and came back, and she's taller, and Jimmy's voice is a little lower. And then another summer, Susie came back, she has breasts, Jimmy came back, his balls dropped, right? Like, as opposed to balls dropping, hair growing, like the water slide you speak of, that actually goes down.
Yeah, I would say maybe too. Another piece of advice that I would give is, regardless of the physical changes in the hormone, regardless of how you're feeling. I remember there was sort of these select kids that just seemed to be one step ahead of everybody else. They were like, when we were all clueless, they were good with their parents, and they could get a job, and they started drinking, and they started dating. Like the first kids that started doing that. And I think it was too soon, because a lot of them, and I want to say like 80% of them,
Fucked up.
it was too much, too fast, and they just went off the rails. And by the time they were 18, they were like dependent on drugs and like really in a bad place, because they weren't ready to deal with those things.
They didn't advance like Mark did.
Yeah, exactly.
he was the Obi-Wan
steady.
Kenobi jumping grades.
Yeah.
Everyone else was Darth Vader in
Yeah.
that shit, right? Do you think, you say that, if you'd known boys and girls and dating and relationships, do you think that would have made it easier?
No, it probably would have got you into more trouble.
Yeah.
Like there's probably
yeah.
that balance that you don't know, because if you did, you would get yourself into so much shit that
you don't know, now you know.
It's probably best that you don't know. And I think when I've thought back at it, I think life and the world kind of has a way of doing that, is that at points in our life where if you knew about that situation at the time, you would get yourself into lots of trouble. And it kind of teaches you, well, you don't learn about that till you're past the point of where you're getting into trouble with it.
Yeah, I'll tell
Kind of
Johnny
thing.
what XYZ is later when he grows up, as opposed to he doesn't need to know at 12.
Like I basically dated the same girl through high school. I've often thought later on, I'm like, well, at that age, like I could have dated a bunch of people.
Totally.
Why didn't I?
Yeah.
And then, like you're pairing up too soon almost.
And then you learn later in life that like those high school relationships, like, I mean, I know of one couple that still has, like, they're still from high school.
Yeah.
And, everybody can break the mold and be the exception and so on and so forth. We're sitting in a room with one. But like, yeah, you're right. You learn when you learn, not before, because I think with great power
you can't
comes,
absorb it. You can't absorb it.
No, you can't. with
Not in a responsible way.
And there's something when you go through puberty, and I've experienced it with my niece, dealing with her. She's just turned 18, so the last few years.
Yeah.
And how you kind of forget when you're a kid, when you're going through puberty and you're around that age, time has different meaning than it does now.
Yes.
Right? Like it's Tuesday, and if you're not going to talk to somebody until the weekend, that's the end of the world. Like the person's never talking to you again.
Right. Yeah.
Right? But now at this age, it's like, oh yeah, well, we chat every 6-8 months.
Exactly.
We're really good friends.
Why are you calling me? It's Tuesday already.
It's hard, I think, to talk to as now. If you go talk to your young self, like we always go back.
Yeah.
It's the space-time relationship's different.
The
because
space-time continuum is different.
because a year of school is a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
But then now it's like 10 months is nothing.
No.
Right?
Like my 7th year at the same job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I realized
same, yeah.
I've now been at my career, my job now, for longer than I was ever in school.
Right.
Like everything added together.
That's what you're
Wow.
doing.
Like high school, university, everything. I've now been at my job longer than I did school. And it doesn't seem like it's not very long at all. But in high school, a year from
That's a
September to June or whatever seemed like forever. Like a week from one weekend to the next was such a long fucking time.
Yeah.
It's just the way that numbers work. I remember when I turned 32 and looking at my best friend on my birthday, and I'm like, I've now lived longer as your friend than I haven't. And that will never change now. Like
that's yeah. And then so to talk to try to talk to your niece or a kid, their time reference
exponential compression.
so much.
Well, that's why kids that age with depression, like it's kind of hard to tell them, like, just get through the next few years and you have your whole life to work shit out. But to them, that's their little microcosm, and they only see things on that micro level, and they can't see the big meta, and they don't understand that what's happening now doesn't mean anything. Like I don't maybe talk to anybody I knew in high school, so it doesn't really matter what the fuck happens in high school. What matters is you just get through it, and it's basically a time for people to fumble around and figure themselves out, and maybe do some school and get good enough grades to maybe continue on.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I think I could go back and tell myself is that to realize high school doesn't fucking matter, except do better. Like, like don't just focus on you. School is important. Like we can talk about that in a whole bunch of different topics.
Yeah.
But it's hard to understand how important those 3 years in high school are when it comes to getting into a school or the rest of your life.
Totally.
Like it doesn't matter for fuck else all. It doesn't matter socially when we think social is the most important thing in the world at that age. What just matters is you could take 3 years off, live in your house and study, and as long as you got good grades, the rest of your life would open up.
Yeah,
totally.
But there's no way as an adult to go back and be like, could I just do high school over again and get a really good GPA and apply for a college?
Motherfucker, would I?
There's no such a thing.
No.
Right? So I know it's not really a puberty thing, but it sort of is because
that's where you're at that time.
You're so worried about yourself and girls and friends and all this other shit that you don't focus on the things that you need to focus on.
You are bringing up a good point because, again, the stuff I was reading about today, depression, anxiety are big factors during this period, right? So you get these physical changes. You've got this possible depression hovering over top of you, and you're talking about this. Your perception of time isn't the same as someone like us now. So that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then you fuck around and then you don't, then you wish you could, so no, it is as much a part of it as your first jerk off session as it is about your mental health. Like there's,
well, if you think
it
back,
all
like
ties into each
if
other.
you got teased or bullied, like in the morning at school and it continued on the whole day, you go home and that's like years now.
Yeah.
It was a whole day of being teased about the thing that happened in gym class. And then chances are like they're going to forget about it by next week.
Oh,
yeah.
But it seemed like, my entire 8th grade, they teased me about, well, no, they probably didn't. It was probably nothing.
Yeah. No, it's like there's 47 firemen there. It was such a huge fire. No, there was actually 2 fire trucks.
Yeah.
Right? Like
No one
everything
got
is-
out.
Yeah, it's an over-exaggerate. Everything is.
But you don't realize it at that age.
Yeah.
I would obviously do the big one and be like, patience, understanding, what's growing in your pants will soon subside, and then you'll wish you had it back like you did before, right? But I would whisper in my ear, and I would I would just say lean into it, right? I would say don't be so afraid of it. Like, right, you want it to be over with, but just...
You can't swim upstream in a water slide.
Exactly, right? Like, this isn't a battle. Like, pick your battles, right? So I would just be like, yeah, the acne, like all of this, all of the social game stuff you're talking about, Mark, all the external changes, that's where I would be like, the rest of them are going to get them too. You're not the only one, I guess, is what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a game we all
breathe,
right? Yeah, like, take it in, man. Yeah. You're gonna miss these nocturnal. No, you never miss a nocturnal admission. Sheets are expensive.
Again, I couldn't disagree with you more. Take them when you get them.
Cool. Well, on that note, I will thank you both again for doing this for another week. It's always a pleasure.
I wasn't sure what to expect from this puberty thing, but I guess it kind of fleshed itself out.
Neither was I. You know what? And
ironically, the same thing happened to him when he was 13.
All this hubbub about puberty, and it's over. I don't know what the big fuss was all about.
Yeah, what, did I miss it? So thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of Should Have Known Better. You can check us out on Facebook and Instagram if you want to follow us online. We are on, if this is your first time, we're on Apple. If you're not listening to us on there, we're also on Spotify, Podbean, and Google Play Music. If you want to email us an idea about another topic, we're more than willing to listen and entertain and see if we can talk about it, which you can hit us up at shouldhaveknownbetterpodcast@gmail.com. As always, I'm Michael Petro.
I'm Jason Brett Fallman.
And I'm Mark Cowell.
And we're out.